Here's Reverend Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. My name is Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles. We're located at 8916 South Main, and we welcome you to come and worship with us, or at any time, or to pick up our service on Facebook Live. We're live every Sunday, and we're worshiping along with our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church. My good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Holliness, is the wonderful pastor and shepherdess there. And they always say when the charismatics and the Baptists get together, there's always going to be a shouting in the camp. Truly, God is good to us. Fellowship and our worship experience has been rich and uplifting and fulfilling, and we trust and pray to God that it will ever continue to be. And we thank you and we welcome you to come down and worship with us, 8916 South Main Street. And we will be putting our services up on YouTube for you to look at in the very near future. We're just trying to get all those camera things put together. Sometimes it's trial and error. However, the offering that you are viewing right now is entitled "It's Time," and this presentation is a social activism, social justice approach or slant, a little bit different from our preachy on Sunday morning or through the week type program. Try to be more aware of what the needs are of our society and of our people, and what we can do to redress so many of the injustices and errors and mistakes and the harm and the microaggressions. You can go on and on. Maybe we'll stop that one. That occur or that have occurred historically in this nation. And so two of the readily identifiable injustices would be the environment, and the second would be the economic. So it must be environmental justice, and there must be social justice. Social justice must, economic justice. Economic justice must involve reparations in order to make up for some of the wealth gap that slavery and then Jim Crow and then segregation have created, that puts a yawning chasm between the people that were privileged and the people that were non-privileged or underprivileged, as the old statement or old characterization once was. I want you to note our reparation scripture, Deuteronomy chapter 15, picking up the reading at verse number 12. This is what it says: "And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let him or her go out free from thee. And when thou sendest them out free from thee, thou shalt not let them go away empty. Thou shalt furnish them liberally out of thy flock. Furnish them liberally out of thy flock. That's all the livestock. Out of thy floor. That's all of the things that you grow, all of the grain products. And out of thy wine press. Get a little wine. In those days, wine was believed to have medicinal qualities. Of course, we know better now. But you get the picture. God did not want to put people through the degradation of having to work for nothing for somebody else, and then when it come time for them to be set free, they be put off the homestead or the plantation with nothing, nowhere to stay, nothing put by, nothing saved, nothing to look forward to. So you stay in that same shape, which is the case of the formerly enslaved Africans here in the United States of America were subjected to. First, they were mere chattel, someone's portable, personal, movable property, as Black's Law Dictionary defined it. A slave is a human being who is not a person but a thing. And so that by itself was a stigma. And of course, when you got to fight from behind so many stigmas, you can understand why it's taken the black man, the African American, so long to reach just the present plateau. We haven't got where we need to be. We never have sat down at the table of brotherhood as sisters and brothers. We ain't got there yet. We are still judged by the color of our skin, not by the content of our character, meaning that when a white person is walking up to a store or to a counter, however the case may be, he gets one set of evaluation, whereas if I am walking up to a store or a counter to transact business, I get a different evaluation. And those are the things that continue to impede and hinder and prohibit and block and stop the fluid progress that should be overtaking all so-called Americans in the United States. I say so-called because the prevailing image of an American is someone only within the United States borders. When you got all these other countries out there that are in the North American hemisphere, and they're Americans as well, you get the idea that there is a great deal of myth, a great deal of falsification and falsehood that has had to infiltrate our very institutions. All of our systems are rife with this germ, this virus, if you will, of systemic racism. And so that is what makes the battle so difficult. But we are praying and we are continuing the fight, and we're not going to give up the fight. We're going to press on in spite of the embarrassments, the humiliations, and the hardships. And we trust that all people of goodwill will join in this push against injustice. As someone has, as Dr. King quoted someone as saying, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I don't know if that can be attributed to him as an original statement, but we can certainly understand the gist of it. Speaking of injustice, the country of Haiti, their president, President Moise, was assassinated this week, and his wife is gravely injured and wounded by some assassins who came into their home saying that they were DEA, which DEA means Drug Enforcement Administration, which means that they came from the United States of America. And indeed, two of the assassins have been identified as Americans. Mr. James Solange and the other gentleman's name I don't see right here. But this is not unusual, as I was telling the president of this station. America has had their hands in Haiti ever since Haiti won its freedom from France, and Napoleon was forced to sell the Louisiana Purchase to the 13 colonies, which greatly expanded the land mass and the land area that is owned and claimed by the Union, the 13 colonies of the Union as it was known. And of course, the slave power did not want the slaves to become aware, slaves in America to become aware that the slaves in Haiti had overthrown the French and had defeated the French and were now free and an independent country of Haiti, as it was originally known. We call it Haiti, but it was Haiti. That was the same land that the imposter Christopher Columbus landed on, thinking that he was in India. And so he called the people that he encountered there Indians, but they were not Indians in the sense of they were from this country of India, but they were the Arawak. And Columbus and his soldiers were so brutal that by the time Bartolome Las Casas got there, what had once been a thriving population was down to 65,000 inhabitants of the originals. And as a result, the colonizers of Haiti imported Africans from Africa, and they were sold into, at that time, Hispaniola. And as a result, that is how the African came to be in the country of Haiti. And the French, though they had been militarily defeated, came back in 1825 and surrounded Haiti with 14 warships and sent an ultimatum that if Haiti did not agree to pay a ransom for the lost wages from the lost profits, because you know Haiti was very profitable for the French colonizers. It was doing tobacco, it was doing sugar cane, it was doing cotton and other products. And when the French lost that control of Haiti, of course their economy suffered a tremendous blow. And so they extracted under extortion, under threat of resuming the war, an agreement to pay the French 150 million francs. And that was in 1825, and the Haitian government was only able to finally pay off that indebtedness in 1947, from 1825 until 1947. It took the poor country of Haiti that long to pay off that heavy indebtedness to France. And keep in mind that all this time there were internal upheavals. There were naturally, if you're paying off a huge indebtedness, that takes the vast amount of your gross domestic product or your gross domestic income, then a lot of necessary goods and services that the citizens of Haiti needed were not there. And of course, there was still a great deal of internal strife, internal rebellion, because of the fact that the elite in Haiti did not want to share power with the Haitian peasant, even though the Haitian peasant had won the war. And so you had a schism, you had a strata in Haiti that still continues to this very hour. And keep in mind that the black Haitians were subjected to the tyranny and the dominion of the mulattoes, which were the immediate descendants of the French colonizers. In other words, the French had lain with the African women, and the offspring were called mulattoes. They were light skinned, just like the French. The French had, in other words, there a lot of offspring, and those mulattoes were in power. And of course, this caused a great deal of tension, a lot of conflict, and it helped the country to underdevelop, or to remain underdeveloped. And along with that, the Spanish-speaking part of the of the island known as Hispaniola revolted from the French-speaking section of Hispaniola, and therefore you had the division between Haiti, which was on the west, and what became known as the Dominican Republic, or the French-speaking white-skinned population on the east. And that is a thumbnail history lesson on the early years of Haiti, and of course the wars between the Haitians and the Dominicans, and the massacres, the downright harsh brutalization that the Dominicans exerted upon the black Haitians, where they killed over between 4,000 and 40,000 dark-skinned Haitians in that type of brutality, racist brutality. So you can understand that in that part of that island there is a lot of misery, and a lot of it was caused originally by the colonizers, and it was perpetuated by the colonial powers. And one of those colonial powers who invaded Haiti in 1915 or shortly thereafter was the United States of America. And the United States stayed in Haiti until 1934. In other words, they went in under Woodrow Wilson, and they did not exit that country until the presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who had his people sign an agreement of accord. But mind you that the United States Marines were in Haiti, and they slaughtered and they killed and they murdered thousands of Haitians, and made Haiti a tributary really of the United States, because they took over the financial instruments of Haiti, and forced Haiti, of course, to build the highways and the roads so the military could go backwards and forth unhindered, but the people didn't get paid. So that was another form of slavery imposed by the United States upon the Haitian people. And the United States have never treated Haiti as an ally, neither has it ever treated it with any degree of courtesy, dignity, respect, or equanimity, what the people in the Congress call comity, that is afforded to other nations, and never have done that for the little country of Haiti. So consequently, Haiti have never been able to get a decent footing. The colonial powers have put in whom they want for president down through the centuries of Haiti's existence. Of course, they did the same thing in the Dominican Republic. And keep in mind that the United States had a program of destabilizing the other countries in the hemisphere. They not only destabilized Haiti and the Dominican Republic, but they destabilized Cuba, they destabilized Guatemala, Nicaragua, all of those what you call them Central American countries, including Mexico. And so the footprint of the United States is upon the necks of many of the populations that now seek to enter this country legally or illegally, because of the ransacking and the destabilizing of their home country. A lot of those people are coming here, but I don't want to get off onto that. I want to come to 1991, when Jean-Bertrand Aristide was put in. He was elected, democratically elected as president of Haiti from 1991 through 1994, but he was kidnapped for much of his presidency. He was driven out of the country, and doing a coup d'etat, as it were, and he did not get back into the country until coming up into 1994. And of course, the intrigues and the interference of the United States, as they say, is legend. Remember that John Foster Dulles and his brother Allen Dulles, who together they established, founded, started the CIA, have always been active in the affairs of these other countries. And it has not been for their betterment, but it's always been for the private gain of these individuals. The biggest producer, the beneficiary of everything that's happening in Haiti is Levi Strauss. They're not leaving Haiti. They make their jeans there in Haiti. They make the jeans very, very cheaply for cheap Haitian labor, and then they bring them back over here, or they sell them all over the world. Levi Strauss, they make their jeans in the poor country of Haiti. But the intrigues in between the early years of Haiti, the United States installed a despot, Papa Doc Duvalier, and I said he was a despot. That's when death reigned. He had a brutal empire. He was supported and sustained by the United States of America. And after Papa Doc, then of course came Baby Doc. And when they finally got Baby Doc out of there, he stole so many millions of dollars of the Haitian people's treasure and money, and he stashed it over in France and in other places. He and his courtesan, and that has been the history of the poor people of Haiti. They never had a chance to breathe free air, never have had a real chance to establish themselves, and all of these storms after Papa Doc and Baby Doc had plundered the treasury of the Haitian people. Then when the United States was still meddling in the affairs of that country, but like I said, along come Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who was democratically elected, and one of the things that Aristide told the United States is he was not going to spend millions of the Haitian people's dollars to raise an army. And that's the one thing you cannot tell a colonizer, because one of the biggest industries for the United States of America is the sale of arms to these other countries. And these countries have to sign agreements that they're going to buy these arms at exorbitant prices. And now if you buy the arms, now you got to train, you got to have a military, which means you got to raise an army. And Jean-Bertrand Aristide said Haiti is too poor to spend all that kind of money on an army. And he rejected it. And as a result, he was besieged in his administration by other people that the United States wanted to put in to replace him. As I said earlier, he had to flee Haiti and go to another country because of a coup d'etat. But then in the year of 1994, he came back to Haiti, and thereafter has been one intrigue after the other. And in the year of 2000 or thereafter, 2001 to 2004, he was re-elected, democratically elected, overwhelmingly elected. His party was called Lavalas, and what happened that time was that George Bush was president, George Bush II, and Mr. Aristide was given an ultimatum sent to him by Condoleezza Rice, 5 minutes, okay, that his life was in danger, that he was going to be assassinated, and they were attempting to get him to sign a letter of resignation, which he did not. And the story goes that he resigned, but the truth is that the United States Marine Corps went in there, kidnapped him, put him on a helicopter or plane. This is under Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell and George Bush. They dropped him off in a little country called Central Africa, the Central African country. And through the intervention or intercession of Congresswoman Maxine Waters and Randall Robinson, who was a private citizen living in St. Kitts, but who sympathized with the Haitian democratically elected president, they were able to get him out of the Central African country and get him into Jamaica. And upon receiving that news, Condoleezza Rice threatened Jamaica that they would, cut off aid and do everything else if they accepted Aristide. But to Jamaica's credit, they stood their ground and they let Aristide stay there until he was reinstated in Haiti as the president. And then he was kidnapped again under Bill Clinton. No, that must have been George Bush I. And as a result, all of this mayhem and chaos and confusion has been imposed from the outside. And so this man that was killed was an American puppet. But for some reason, they wanted to get rid of him, and they did get rid of him. All right, my friends, I didn't get where I wanted to get, but you got a little capsule history today. And so may God bless you, and may God continue to smile upon your fields and bless His blessing upon your face and upon your rest upon your brow. May all that you touch prosper. And to my brothers and sisters that are laboring in these thankless jobs, again, I say unto you, while you're young, get yourself away from there. Get yourself, start learning how to do something else, how to trade options, how to trade futures, how to trade stocks, because that's where your future lies. Remember, if they don't want to pay you, may as well stop working for them. Thank you, Doc. We're out of here.
Some good days, and I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days, yeah, some sleepless nights. But when I look around, and nothing seems so good, all of my good days, outweigh my bad days, yes they do. I just say thank you, Lord.